Hey friends, it's Tracy. Today I am back with another fall wreath idea, my first one for 2022. Now, I do sell locally in my hometown. I have a little gift shop that sells these wreaths and I design for them. So when I have time, I create them here, show you how I did it on my channel. Guys, my name is Tracy. I love to share crafty ideas with a bit of rustic kitchen charm, just like today's project. Let's go ahead and get started, and I will share the basics of what I did to create this fall wreath for 2022. Okay, I am making this wreath with three 10-inch rolls of Deco mesh, and I cut these at 16 inches. And what I did is I rolled them out on my mat, measured out 16 inches, and then I cut them together at one time. And each of these 10-inch rolls came from Hobby Lobby. And so I will continue to do that until I get those all cut. For the orange and the white buffalo check also came from Hobby Lobby. Since this is a specialty mesh, that's kind of what I refer to it as. I rolled this one out at 14 inches. The first two I rolled out at 16 inches. This one I rolled out at 14 inches. And it's just because it's made a little bit differently. It's a little bit thicker. And so that's what I did. I'm going to make the cruffles. And so what I do is I just bend each end over, roll it over a couple of times, then gather it the same way on the other side. Just bend it over, gather it in the middle, clip it with my little clamp that I got from Dollar Tree in the laundry section. Do the same thing with the second one. Clamp those together. Then for the orange and white, I also make a cruffle, and then I just put them together in my little bundles, just like in an X pattern, because that's what I'm going to put onto my 14-inch wireframe that I get from the Dollar Tree. What I am showing you here is I will put the specialty mesh, in this case, the orange and white deco mesh. I will put that in different positions in my bundle so that it's not all the same throughout my wreath. Now, this is just an overview of how I make all of my cruffles before I start putting them onto my wreath frame. And I do have more in-depth videos. I have a wreath basics playlist as well as a huge wreath playlist of I will link those two below as well if you would like a slower in-depth version of how I do my deco mesh wreaths. But I usually use the same format on all of my deco mesh wreaths because it is the most popular and it is what sells the best for me. Okay, so then now I have a 14-inch wire frame and it has 4 rings on it. And so I start just with some pipe cleaners. In this case, I'm just using the tan pipe cleaners. And so for the first bundle, I put it on the inner 2 rings. Then for the next bundle, I move to the outer 2 rings. I always put it on 2 rings to give it better stability. And so then here I am putting the next one on the inner 2 rings, and then I will move to the outer 2 rings, and I ended up putting 18 bundles all together onto this wreath with these 3 particular deco mesh onto this 14-inch frame. Again, I put 18 bundles of these 3 mesh onto this frame just like that. Okay, so then now I'm going to work on my ribbon bundles. I'm going to put these two together. Those both came from Craft Outlet. I'm going to put these as well together. The 2.5 inch came from Hobby Lobby. The 1.5 inch came from Craft Outlet. I'm going to put those three together. I'm going to cut those at 13 inches and then put those all together. They either came from Hobby Lobby or Craft Outlet. Okay, these ribbon tail boards are something that I do to measure out my ribbon. I do have them linked in my link tree, which are my favorites. I do have them linked in there if you are interested in that. I just measure them out. The 2.5 inch I measure at 13 inches. The 1.5 inch I will measure out at 12 inches. And so then I just wrap it around the board, then cut that off. I usually go, depending on the thickness of the ribbon, maybe 3 times or 4 times, because the more you wrap it around the board, it adds a little length to the ribbon, I have found out. So then what I'll do is I will just dovetail the ends just to give it a finishing touch. And that makes the wreath, or my wreath, that's my preference, to make a very finishing touch. And so I will do that with all of the ribbons. For the 2.5 inch, I measure at 13 inches. For the 1.5, I measure at 12 inches. Now, for the larger ones, what I do is, since I'm putting those three together, I measure them out at 13 inches. I will make an X. I will also cut the window pane at 13 inches just by cutting them off. Now, the window pane mesh, I do not dovetail. That's the only one that I do not dovetail, but I cut in between the window pane ribbon just so that it does not fray. So I just start somewhere and put my ribbon bundle in. Well, when I put the three set of three in there, I said, I'm going to want to put some raffia in there. And so I just pulled out some sprigs of raffia. I get my raffia from Walmart. And with the maybe, I don't know how many strands I use, but I just kind of knot it in the middle, just where it's a bit wispy on the end, so that when I have all of my ribbon on, it sticks up just a little bit. That's what the goal, that's what I'm going for. Okay, so then since I have 18 ties, or 18 pipe cleaners, 18 bundles of Deco mesh, I needed 18 bundles of ribbon. And so I cut 6 of each of the, uh, bundles out together. So I have 6 of one, 6 of the other, and then the 6 of three, just to make 18. And so then I am just going, in a zigzag pattern, up, down, up, down, up, down. And so then that's how I put my ribbon on. For the 2.5 inch and the 1.5 inch, I bundle those, or um, gather those in the middle, then just kind of, lay them out so they look nicely. The raffia ones, I am putting are the bigger ones, the set of three, I put the raffia in. And so that way, that kind of helps keep me organized, keeps me, I have them laid out how I'm going to put them on there. And then it really makes a nice full wreath that I like and that the potential customer likes. Now, I, share my wreath ideas, but anytime a wreath maker has to find their own way, their own style, their own way of doing things. I just share for ideas. I do appreciate so many people liking the style that I do my wreath, so that's why I share. Also, when I put my ribbon bundles in, I will twist it, several times. Then I will cut off the excess. Then I will bend down the pipe cleaners just to make sure that it's all secure.
I absolutely love pip berries and love to add them to my country wreaths. And so this pip berries, they came off of a garland from Hobby Lobby. I just took the garland apart, the little picks, and just added a steel pick on the end. That is just a little gadget that I have that adds a floral pick on the end, and just glued them into the wreath, just making it really primitive country cute. To create the middle pumpkin, this is what I did, guys. I'm using one of the wooden pumpkins from Dollar Tree and also some orange paint in the color Canyon Orange. And so what I did is I just, painted it with a thick coat of the orange paint. Usually I would not put this much paint on there, but I don't know. I was working late at night and wasn't really thinking. And so I'm like, gosh, girl, you got a lot of paint on here. Usually I put it on my plate, but for whatever reason, I just squirted it right onto my pumpkin. And so, anyway, I just put one coat on there because that's going to be the undercoat. Okay, so I like to use the Folk Art Crackle medium for my crackle. People have shared that they have great results with the Elmer's school glue. Whatever works for you, I think that that's wonderful, but I just prefer to use the Folk Art Crackle medium. And so what I do, guys, is I put a thick coat of that on there and let that dry completely. I either let it dry for several hours or I will speed up the process with my heat tool, and just make sure that the crackle medium is dry completely before I put my top coat on so that I get the best cracks that I want. Okay, so then the top coat is going to be this white paint. And so what I have found, what works for me is I put a thick coat of the top layer on top, and I try to load my brush up really good and go over it once and not like go back and forth and back and forth, because then it covers up the cracks. And so I do get a lot of comments even on older videos of people that have questions about crackle and how different things that they can do. What I have found is whatever you want to crack through needs to be the undercoat and then the lighter coat on top so that you get really nice cracks like this. All right, so then now I'm going to add some shading. And so then I have some brown paint and my 1/2 inch flat paintbrush. And that brown paint is in the color milk chocolate. So I do my favorite shading technique by dipping half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. Then I blend on a paper towel just to get it, blend it well in the bristles. Then I just go around and give it some shading. So then I want to add some shading to the ridges of the pumpkins, like where it would be right there. And so then I just take that brush, do the same thing, and just add some shading to give it the ridges of the pumpkins. All right, so then of course I love to add my splattering. And so what I'm using is a stencil brush and some just a stick, and then I am using that brown paint just to give it some splattering, and that is the only one that I do, and it just looks so pretty. Just what I like for my country project. All right, now I'm going to kick it up a notch and put my black Sharpie marker. I am using the fine point Sharpie marker. Just go around just to add some squiggles and some doodles. I really feel that it just really makes my finished painted projects pop, and I just love this so much. I do give it a coat of varnish because I like the glossy look and just to seal everything. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I do get a lot of questions if I seal my painted projects, and my favorite sealer is listed in my Amazon favorite store. All right, so then now the fun part for me is I am going to decorate the stem of the pumpkin. I have this ribbon that I picked up from Hobby Lobby and just kind of wrap that around. And then this green ribbon, which is very similar, I got from the Dollar Tree. And then that is going to kind of be the green
color are kind of like what I consider my leaves. And so then I have this 1.5-inch burlap with the orange polka dot, came from the Dollar Tree. Most of my ribbon either come from Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, or Craft Outlet. Okay, so then now for the tendrils of my pumpkins, I have these paper covered wires that I've had on hand for a few years, but I have seen them at Walmart as well as Joann's Fabric and Crafts in the floral section if you're interested in that. So then I just wrap them around my finger to give it, just the curly look. And so, if you don't want to use your finger, you can use a dowel or a paintbrush end, or this, the end of a paintbrush works great as well. So then I just layer everything up together. That orange and white gingham ribbon came from Hobby Lobby. And so then I just stack everything up the way that I want. Then I just use a pipe cleaner just to twist it all together to make it tight. Then I just formed it around the stem of that pumpkin and just twisted it in the back so that everything was nice and secure. To decorate the middle of the bow, I'm just going to be adding some Excelsior, glued that on there. And then also I recently found these wood roses from the Dollar Tree. Be on the lookout if you haven't seen those yet. They're so beautiful, and I think that they're perfect for this project. So I'm going to glue a couple of those on there. Now, to make sure that these were glued down really good, I used some of my Fabri-Tac glue as well as a combination of hot glue just to make sure that everything was glued down correctly, or securely rather. So that, I don't have to worry about anything falling off. All right, I recently also found these faux letters from the Dollar Tree. These are the darker brown color, and so they're perfect. I don't have to paint them or anything, and so they're faux leather, and so it has a blessed and it also has grateful in there. I have 2 of each of the words in this pack, so be on the lookout if you haven't seen these yet. So I just glued that on my pumpkin there, and just using my Fabri-Tac glue as well as hot glue. And then I'm like, it's a little boring, so I just pulled out my stylus and my white paint and just did some dots on some of the letters just to make them pop.
To attach these type of signs to my middle of my wreaths, what I use are these 1-inch cable ties and some pipe cleaners. I like to, they're already sticky, but I do like to use a combination of E6000 as well as hot glue to make sure that they are on there really good. And I just thread the pipe cleaners on there. What I'm sharing here is I picked up these upholstery needles from Walmart, and these work a little bit better. They're a little bit longer. I've been using a needle just to thread the pipe cleaner through the back to get my sign on there correctly. And so when I ran across, it was a set of 4 upholstery needles. I only used one of them, but I just thread it through the pipe cleaner through the back, attach the sign, the pipe cleaner to the ring of my wreath, and then my sign is secure. And so then this is how I make a hanger for my wreaths. I like to use this grapevine wire, and to cover the back, I do like to do that. I have some of these placemats left from Hobby Lobby. Unfortunately, this year in 2022, I have not been able to find them. So I hope to find something else. Maybe they'll bring them back, or maybe they'll bring them back next year, or otherwise I will use placemats from the Dollar Tree. And I absolutely love the way that this first fall wreath of 2022 turned out, and I hope that you would do as well. Check out my playlist full of other wreath tutorials, as well as my Wreath Basics playlist that I do have on my channel. Thanks for watching. You all have a great day. We'll talk to you very soon. God bless.